Transition 3.0, it's actually about how do you design the future of the family business or the family wealth looks like with the rising generation. The second we stop talking to each other, things go bad. So that resentment starts to build. Someday you're going to run this whole thing, or someday you're going to inherit all this wealth isn't a plan. You need to actually map out what is the timeline, the milestones, the things I need to learn.
Hey there, and welcome to your Next Gen Friend, a Successors Guide to Business Transition, a podcast for figuring out what's next in or beyond your family business. I'm Andrea Carpenter, transition strategist and second gen. Around here, we talk about the real stuff, family dynamics, identity, leadership, wealth, and how to define success on your own terms. Here's to finding your own way forward. I'm so glad you're here.
Hey, I just wanted to do a quick episode today on Transition 3.0 and what that really means and why successors should care. So Elizabeth and I have started talking about this concept of 3.0, which was largely inspired by Wealth 3.0, which is an amazing book that I highly recommend that you look at. And that talks about the way that wealth and the way that people think about their wealth and how they communicate with their family has changed over time. So we took this concept and have started lightly applying it to transition. So if you think of transition 1.0, what would that be? That was the days where you would go work with a lawyer, create all the estate documents, and then when that person passed away, the rest of the family would find out what happened. How much wealth is there? How much am I going to receive? When am I going to receive? How do the trusts work? That all sort of happens at a later point. Transition 2.0 starts to get a little bit more collaborative. So the leading generation is working with the lawyers, the estate planners, the CPAs, attorneys. They're setting up all the structures, and then they go to their families and they start to communicate about this, answer questions, help everyone figure out how that fits into their lives. So 2.0, much more effective, help again to move a little bit further along in the generational wealth transfer and helping that stay. But when you think about transition 3.0, and I think this is really exciting for successors, it's actually about how do you design what the future of the family business or the family wealth looks like with the rising generation. And I think it's worth saying that this looks different. It looks a little different for every family because there's certain levels of information that you as a successor might get told or might not get told. There might be some personal work that your parents or the people that you're going to be inheriting the business from or purchasing the business from, work that those people need to do to sort some of the pieces on their own side out before they're ready to come to the table and collaborate on something new. But that being said, in the families where we've seen the most success, the family actually goes through the process of talking about what is important to everyone. What are the outcomes that we need? What are the ways that if we design this as a family and everyone is able to show up in a capacity and in a way that's exciting to them, in a way that aligns with their strengths and helps them achieve the things that they want in life, that they're able to do that. So Transition 3.0 is really exciting. And I think from a successor perspective, there's a couple things I really love about it. The first is it can feel like you have more of a say in your future. So when you come to the table from the start and you get asked questions like, what are you trying to accomplish in your life? What are you doing? What are you thinking about? What are the things that you care about? Where do you see yourself growing and learning? And what do you want? When you get to be a part of designing that, you actually get to shape it. And it can feel a little bit less like, wow, they came up with this whole plan and then told me and it doesn't really fit or it doesn't really align or I don't really have interest, but I don't want to let my parents down. I don't want to let anyone down. I don't want to be a disappointment. I don't want to do anything that isn't in alignment. And life can change and you can always have permission to change your perspective, but at least it lets you share that from the start. I also think this is a good way at protecting your relationship with your parent or your predecessor. I think the big reason that transitions fail isn't because the business stuff wasn't working or we didn't get a good legal structure in place. I think it's the second we stop talking to each other, things go bad. So that resentment starts to build. We're not able to talk to someone about, hey, this is the way I'm feeling, or this thing is coming up that's changing something. And that transparency between each other can really be impactful. So in Transition 3.0, trying to design a structure to help you approach and have facilitated conversations with your family, which I think is really important. Another thing worth mentioning, at the beginning, I said, kind of, what are those things that you care about and what's important to you? You might not actually even know yet. So you need to find out if it's something you actually want. Sometimes the pressure to take over, you're the heir apparent, you're the oldest child, you're the youngest child, whatever the reason is, right? Why someone thinks you're the person who's going to take something over, it might not actually be the path that you are interested in or that aligns with what you're doing. So you can feel like you have to say yes, but that's not true. Take some space to honestly explore whether it's what you want. And I think the reason this Transition 3.0 concept helps is you get to learn more about the framework and exactly what you would be saying yes to before you actually say, yeah, I'm in, or no, I'm not. You also get clear commitments, not vague promises. Someday you're going to run this whole thing, or someday you're going to inherit all this wealth isn't a plan. You need to actually map out, what is the timeline, the milestones, the things I need to learn. What is leadership going to really look like when I get there? So no more of that, hey, someday this thing is going to happen to you. As a successor, you can make it much more concrete. And that's what will prepare you for the things that are really hard. There will be stuff that's hard. As parents age or as your life situation changes, you never know when stuff is going to happen. In a business situation, you're earning credibility with long-term employees. You're stepping into authority. You're handing over important relationships. You're navigating relationships with siblings who may or may not be as involved in the business or the wealth as you are. And so we need to make sure that you can build those things with support and feel confident in them. And I also think the last thing I'll just say is that legacy that you get to start designing and creating. I think as inheritors, as rising gens, we feel like we're standing on the shoulders of giants. Sometimes our parents did these amazing things, or our great-great-grandfather did something that was so cool, and now I'm the next steward. I'm the next person who's coming in. What is that going to look like? I don't want, and I am not a carbon copy of the people who came before me, and I want to do something that's unique to me. So in Transition 3.0, you get a seat at the table. You also get to start designing your vision for the future. And if you are an owner or the parent listening to this, this is the best gift that you can give your parents. My parents have given it to me. I'm so grateful that they've done this. I'm still obviously figuring things out every single day. But this allows me to come in, start on the foundation that people have built before me, and really get to build something that feels like mine too. And that can make the whole journey feel worth it. So there you go. A few thoughts on Transition 3.0. Again, I think I've talked before a little bit about my work and how we help families navigate this. Our whole process and the way that we bring people together is just about bringing both generations to the table and helping everyone have a voice and a say. So if that's something that's interesting to you, I'd be happy to talk more. Feel free to DM me on Instagram or shoot me an email. I'm Andrea at transitionstrategist.com. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.
That's it for today. I hope today's episode offered some clarity, or at least a little company. If this resonated, I'd be so grateful if you'd share it with another next gen. While my podcast is for the Successors, you can also check out its sister show, The Business Transition Roadmap, hosted by my business partner, Elizabeth Ledoux. There's lots of great material in business and family succession over there. I hope you'll take a listen. Be well, and see you next time.